PEP Radio is a part of the Pennsylvania Equality Project that plays music, news, and weather, actively advocating for the LGBTQ+ and disabled since 2024.
PEP Radio, available on Live 365, Roku, Alexa, and at paquality.com.
Here at Gay SA Radio, we're very happy to welcome the Othering podcast to our airwaves. Catch the show every Thursday at noon CAT, bringing fresh voices and compelling conversations straight to you.
Head over to gsaradio.stream to find out how you can tune in and become part of our family. Don't miss it, only on Gay SA Radio, where you are family.
One man and one woman join forces to rid the world
What are you doing?
of inequality and fascism.
Seriously?
I'm trying I'm trying to do a promo here.
For whom? What are you doing?
Welcome to the Othering Podcast with Mike and Dory.
Hello. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
Good.
Okay, today we are talking to Caden Nelms. Caden is a disability advocate and a full-time power wheelchair user with Spinal Muscular Atrophy Type 2. During his time in college, he realized that he had to be his own advocate and fought for accessibility and inclusiveness on the college campus. Caden uses his social media platforms to spread awareness on accessibility, inclusion, and accepting your disability and self. A lot of his content has humor sprinkled in throughout. He has had a spinal fusion surgery to help correct his scoliosis at age 9, as well as having his left kidney removed due to low function, infection, and kidney stones when he was 19. Welcome, Caden. It's great to have you.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So let's start with your kidneys.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's kind of a huge thing. To have it removed at the age of 19, and like low function, infection, all of that stuff is kind of terrifying to be a kid and have to deal with that.
Yeah, I want to say the summer before my freshman year of high school, I had my first kidney stone, and they are a lot of people in my family on both sides of the family have them, so it wasn't that shocking, you know. Mm-hmm. I mean, to be that young, yes, but it was what it was, and so I dealt with it and went to a doctor who at the time was a pediatric urologist, and he's like, "Oh yeah, just kidney stones, you're fine, just deal with it," essentially. And I did. And then I fast forward to 2019. I was starting college. I had finally turned 18 and I wanted to go. I had to find a new urologist anyway. And so that went on. And then COVID started happening. And right when COVID started happening, I had a really bad episode with a kidney stone. Almost went to the hospital with it. And went back to the urologist, and he said, okay, he looked at the scans from my pediatric doctor years before, called me on a video call because of COVID. He said, I hate to do this over video, but essentially your other doctor was stupid because if he would have looked at your scans, he would have saw that you, a 19-year-old or 18-year-old at the time, has kidneys of a 4-year-old, essentially. Like one kidney of a 4-year-old, rather. It never fully produced, and it was only functioning 5 to 10%, and just, all this stuff. And he said, we're doing more scans. So for a month, I was doing scans and, tests and everything. And turns out my kidney was surrounded, like encapsulated in infection.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so he's like, also hate to do this during COVID. I haven't met you in person yet, but you're having surgery in 2 weeks. And turns out that was causing, higher blood pressure, high temperature, which made it hard to get go do tests during COVID because you had to have it below a certain temperature. So, all the pieces started connecting. And kidneys are supposed to weigh, from what I remember, 0.24 to 0.25 pounds. Mine weighed just over a pound with all the infections surrounding it. So, yeah. I'm
glad that they were able to catch it before it, became nephrotic or anything like that. Necrotic, I mean. How did they miss that?
Yeah. Without the stones, did you have symptoms? Did you feel bad all the time?
I think that, the what do you call it? The stones, I think, is where I thought the pain, everything was just kidney stones. And with my body and everything else going on, who knows? But it ended up just being like I was flush all the time. My temperature, blood pressure, all that was up. And as soon as my kidney was out, no joke, by the time I left the hospital, everything was, normal, like what it should be for somebody my age.
That's terrifying.
It is.
Imagine if he missed it too and you continued life like that. What would have happened?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's terrifying to think about how a pediatric doctor couldn't recognize that a 15, 16-year-old's kidney was like a 4-year-old.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
you think he would know? But
I would have imagined that he would know. And just, that's horrible, gross negligence right there. Because if he had looked at the scans like the other doctor did, he should have seen that then.
Yeah, because it was the same scans. The new doctor didn't do new scans for looking at it. He looked at the previous doctor's scans. Yeah. The first time I met this doctor was during my pre-op to go into surgery because of COVID. It was a very interesting time to have surgery. It was. I had surgery early June 2020, so it was in the beginning of it. So.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've had kidney stones and gallstones, and they're painful in and of itself. And the fact that they're just like, don't worry about it, kind of bothers me because that pain is not the same as like, a sore arm or something like that. And for me, Tylenol definitely doesn't do anything anyway, but Advil, ibuprofen, that didn't help. And you just have to wait to pass it. So you're already dealing with that type of pain. And then to find out that, guess what? It's even worse than you really thought is terrifying.
And I've never felt pain like that before, and I consider myself to have a high pain tolerance given, all the other stuff. But that is some of the worst pain I've ever had, and I've never had another experience really like that for that severe. And to find out that all this was also going on, I was like, man, you mean this? I can deal with kidney stones at this point. If this pain is what's causing all of it or most of it, then why didn't they should have figured it out? I've had 2 kidney stones since 2020 now, maybe. So, world of difference. I was having them almost constantly before.
Yeah, and that's not normal. That's not okay. And we got to stop just assuming that, whatever. Other people have it, so who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
We got to stop doing that.
Or you deal with other stuff, so you can deal with this.
Yeah, that's not right in any way, shape, or form. We are not supposed to be in pain. And we shouldn't be treated as if it's okay just because you're a kid or whatever age you are or however you look. It doesn't matter. Pain is awful, and we should be looking at ways to maybe not cure it all the time because it's not possible, but mitigate that pain so that we're not screaming.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So the spinal fusion surgery at the age of 9, that seems kind of traumatic. Do you remember that? Like, how did you feel going into that? That had to have been pretty scary for a 9-year-old.
Yeah, it was really scary, and especially now, I've always been pretty anxious, especially medically. Going to a hospital to visit somebody else, like my friend broke their leg in a car accident, so it wasn't super severe. Went to visit, heart rate spiked. If you would have checked it then, they would have been putting me in the hospital next to my friend. Like, it's not great. But yeah, so I remember obviously knew I was in the wheelchair at this point. I was diagnosed with SMA 4 days after I turned 2. So I've known about it my whole life I can remember. And if you set me up straight or try to, by the time I go, from my bedroom to the kitchen or living room, I was like almost all the way over my arm sideways. So the scoliosis was severe. My ribs were getting really close to my lungs and heart, so they had to be, obviously fix that. So I didn't have a choice. They said, if you wait any longer, told my parents this, not me as a 9-year-old. If you wait any longer, he could have serious issues or death. But do it now and maybe have to have another one when he's done growing as an adult. So it was, it really was a lose-lose situation regardless. But I remember I just had my family, I have a big family. They rallied around me. We went out to dinner the night before. Me and my brothers made a fort in the floor and watched movies and really tried to ease it. They all made a pact not to eat because I couldn't eat after midnight. Now, the second I went back to surgery, they rode up and down the elevator eating a biscuit over and over. But I was knocked out by that point, so nothing to me. But I remember in school, my last day of class, I was in 3rd grade, so my last day of class, big party, cake, pizza. They gave me gifts, gave me a gift basket with movies to watch and popcorn and snacks and this and that. It was just, I was very much supported.
That's great.
But it was very scary. Yeah. And then I went to get in my van after I came home. I got to come home early. It was so smooth. And nobody prepared for this. Because I was setting up, I was 6 inches taller than I was previously, which meant I couldn't fit in my van anymore. And so 3 days after surgery, which is from my waist all the way to my neck, Dad's having to pick me up, put me in the passenger seat to drive home from Atlanta to 2 hours home. And Mom rode in the floor, leaning up against my wheelchair illegally, all the way home. So I was nauseous and not feeling well. And I had pillows around me. Yeah, it was a whole thing. But my family's good about when anybody's going through something, but they really were with me because, 9 years old being told at 8 years old that you're having the surgery, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's scary. Yeah, it's very scary. But from what I remember, very supportive, very doctors did great. I can't complain with that surgery. That one was fantastic. Compared.
Have you needed the second spinal surgery yet?
No, I've asked that same doctor before I aged out at 21. He said I was good as far as he could tell. My new doctors, they said theoretically we could do it, but it doesn't seem like you need it as of now.
That's good.
So hopefully, and you can tell my scar isn't up to my neck, obviously, like it was before. It's kind of weird to think about. You can visually see how much I've obviously grown from 9 to 24, almost 25. It's quite interesting. But yeah, so not yet. Hopefully not. But we'll see.
Yeah.
So for our listeners, what is spinal muscular atrophy type 2?
So spinal muscular atrophy is a neuromuscular disease, and essentially you have 2 genes in your makeup that helps send that protein out to your muscles to grow. There's SMN1 gene, which is survival motor neuron, I believe is SMN1 is what it is. 1 and 2. If you have SMA, the first gene is missing. It's just not there. It's supposed to supply the primary amount of protein to all of your muscles, and the second gene is the supplemental. It gives a little extra. So if you're missing the first one, that second one's working overtime. But depending on how many copies of the second one you have, depends on how strong you are and categorizes you into what type you are, which is very confusing. It was confusing. It's still confusing me, to be honest. But if you have, again, one copy of the second one, you're going to be very weak. A lot of times the infant doesn't make it, and it varies, of course. And the reason they type it, I've been told, is really nowadays just for insurance purposes. But now that they've learned more about it. But yeah, so my muscles just are weak, and I can't get with so much strength, and I get weaker over time, so it's progressive. I am on medication to slow, if not stop, that progression from where I'm at now. And yeah, that's basically SMA. Yeah.
and they knew that you
Very
had it from.
confusing.
Yeah, it is. It is very interesting. All of it is, honestly. Like, I love science and kind of thinking of it in the scientific way. That's fascinating to know that all of these little tiny things that you can't really see normally cause you to be able to lift a cup or not be able to lift a cup.
That most people take for granted.
Yes, we do. Scoliosis is another one.
Right.
We tend to take for granted the fact that a lot of our backs are, well, not always 100% straight, but straighter than those with scoliosis.
Yeah.
And even
it's
that,
wild to think about, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it all still comes down to, did a gene, was it, created at birth correctly? Or was it messed up later on? Or, all of these little nuances. You drank the wrong glass of water one day, and all of a sudden your DNA is changed, type of thing. And to me, that's fascinating, but at the same time heartbreaking that it can be just that little bit of, not saying that you can't drink water. Of course, drink water, people.
Yeah.
But
Please do, or you'll have kidney removed.
yeah. But thinking that just environment and, DNA from your parents and all that stuff can, sometimes clash and cause different things to happen to you. Sometimes they work together a little too well. And like, for instance, there's malignant hyperthermia. And that can be environmental and it can be hereditary, usually hereditary. And that's a terrifying disease as well as what you have, where if you're put under, you can have an allergic reaction all of a sudden to it and never wake up.
The one I think about all the time, and I remember, I don't know why, but when I had it may have been my spinal surgery. I don't know why. Somebody probably mentioned it, didn't think anything of it. When you are put to sleep, but you can still feel everything, that whole situation, but you can't tell anybody. That was my biggest fear going into surgery. It still is, but I don't know why. I'm like, why would someone tell this to a 9-year-old before you had surgery? Like, come on, please.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, I understand that. I had that same thing when I had to go not fully under. I was on Twilight because I have MH that runs in my family. But even then, I was still terrified that I would wake up and my eyes would be alert, but the rest of my body would not. And I could hear and feel everything, but I couldn't say anything too. And that was a huge fear, both times that I've been put under. And I would imagine being a kid. Whoever said that to you is stupid, but...
Yeah, sorry to anybody that's listening that may be coming up with something. But,
yes.
No, and I also do have sleep paralysis occasionally, which fed into that fear. Because, same thing, just under surgery instead of a sleep type situation. In my mind, at least, is how I compared it, but yeah.
Do any of your siblings have similar problems?
They don't.
No.
So I have a different mom than them.
Okay.
And so both parents have to be carriers. And if I remember correctly, no one quote me on this, if I'm correct, even if both are carriers, there's still only a 25% chance that the child will have SMA, if I remember correctly. And if one's a carrier and one's not, then the child will be a carrier, but they won't have SMA. So both have to be, so that's why it's more rare, is both have to be carriers. And then on top of that, it's still a relatively low chance, whatever the exact percentage is, of that child actually having SMA.
Which makes it even harder.
Yep.
Because it's kind of cool to say you have a rare disease, but at the same time, it's not, because it means that it's not as researched, it's not as thought of. Sometimes people, unfortunately, fall through the cracks because of that. And it also makes it scarier, because you're suffering from something, or not necessarily suffering, but living through something that many other people don't share. So it's also kind of isolating in a way.
It is, and it can be. I remember when I was younger, I was the only one that I knew of. Besides, I have one cousin that has SMA on mom's side. So, and she's a little bit older than mom, and mom helped take care of her. And so this is a very niche thing, and it's funny. when I was a baby before I was ever diagnosed. Of course, I missed some of the milestones, but Mom noticed how my big toe was bent, which is similar to my cousin. And Mom's like, he has SMA. And so Mom took me to the doctor, and the doctor was like, I get what you're saying. I hear you. Let's see if he can crawl to you. And the way I did, he said, I can't technically say he does, but I will tell you we're getting tests expedited for SMA specifically. So he knew, just based off, researching it, because Mom went into that appointment saying, hey, I think this is what it is. And I was the only one besides my cousin that we knew that had SMA really around here, because I do live in a smaller town. Mm-hmm. But now that I'm, 24, I know, of course, my cousin. There is a family friend. We met this other kid who's a few years younger than me. When he was going through his surgery, he had reached out to me because he was a teenager-ish when he had his surgery, so he's able to go a little bit longer. And I've met so many people, and it's not, I remember it being, not advertised, that sounds wrong, but presented as a very rare, disability disease. Mm-hmm. And now it is still rare, mm-hmm. but it's a lot less rare than doctors and the community previously thought, which is really, it's weird to say, but it is nice because I have people to connect with and talk to.
Right.
And I've made great connections and friends and things like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's the nice part about it, is that there's people to talk to. Mm-hmm. And I hate the fact that it has to be that way, but it's nice that other people know the pain and that there's somebody to talk about these things with, because, family members, unless they go through it, friends too, sometimes it's hard to really understand the abstract when you can't necessarily see it really well. And they know that you're, say, in a wheelchair or not, or, you wear glasses or not, but it's still hard to understand exactly what you're going through unless you're in it.
Exactly.
And it's great that your mom knew the signs going into it, and you got diagnosed, or they noticed as early as they did.
Yeah, I think it really was. I mean, because I know she wouldn't have known, of course, if it wasn't for my cousin, but I think especially then, it really did help narrow it down so quickly to that he just had to get the test to confirm it, to be technical. But yeah.
So have you been using a wheelchair your entire life?
I have. I started out in a manual wheelchair, being carried by my brothers or parents or, whatever. But by pre-K, I would say, so around 4 to 5-ish, I started with a manual wheelchair. At the time, I could still push it myself, or I had certain friends and family do it. And in first grade, I quickly realized this school just got a lot bigger. I'm getting weaker already in first grade. It's getting busier and harder to keep up with these kids and teachers and whoever as we're moving around. And I was to the age where they could consider a power chair. And I went to do the test drive, which is always so funny to say, test driving. And I apparently hit it out of the ballpark immediately. And I got my first power chair in first grade. So,
wow. Okay. So what was that like in school, being the kid in the power chair and in the wheelchair and probably different than everyone else? Did you have a lot of struggles and problems, or was everyone pretty supportive like they were after your surgery with the kidneys?
It's interesting. When I was younger, the manual wheelchair wasn't as jarring, it seemed like, of course. But the power chair, once it's heavy and I can hit stuff or hit them by accident, or on purpose, or it just it did change things. And the older I got, the more self-conscious I got, which definitely didn't help the situation. And that's not on them. That's just how it was. I will say that elementary school wasn't too bad, besides the occasional person, and I'm not even including the stairs or whatever. The middle school is when it got rough, which I know I'm probably not alone in that situation, but that's when people start being judgy. That's when people who, from all the 3 or 4 elementary schools in the county, all combined into one middle school. So now I'm surrounded by a bunch of people I don't know and that don't know me. And I was one of the few actually the other one's my friend. But other than that, I don't know of another person in a wheelchair at the time that was in quote unquote regular ed classes, not special ed classes. So that was also different for everybody, especially once you got in middle school and high school. And having to get put out of class, go to physical therapy, made other kids like, I want to leave class. Going to the restroom at the nurse's station instead of using the stalls. And it took longer, and I didn't have to take a hall pass with me or a bathroom pass. And I got to go whenever I needed to. And I got on the bus early. And, you know, all the little things. I could stay inside and play games for recess if it was, you know, cold, whatever it was, you know. It was these unique situations and opportunities and things I had to go and do that really pulled me apart from my peers. I think it was the little things. And then again, I was self-conscious. People started like dating or being friends, or sports was a big one. I didn't do any of that really. And I would say I had friends, elementary school into middle school, that were really close friends. And then high school, I just had friends, you know, just, I won't really hang out with them outside of school type situation. And that's how it was until I graduated. And college was completely different. But the public school, and also everybody in my small town was like, oh, hey, Caden. Like, they know me, I don't know them type situation. I'm like, who are you? Like, whether it's a peer's parents or siblings or my parents' friends they went to school with, or people from this church or people from this church, or, you know, whatever it may be, they know me, I don't know them. And they're like, oh my goodness. Or they don't know me, but they stop me in the middle of the parking lot of a grocery store and ask to pray for me type situation. It's all those things. Yeah.
And how does...
What we do?
And you gotta love that when they decide to pray over you and pray for you, and it's just like, yeah, keep doing that.
Yeah, and like, have your own beliefs. I have my own beliefs, but stopping in the middle of a parking lot of a grocery store to ask to pray for me is interesting.
It's not going to do much.
Yeah, being told that not only do they see me walking again in their premonition, vision, mind, whatever they want to call it, not only do they see me walking, but they see me behind a pulpit preaching to a church with kids running around me type situation. I don't know.
Interesting.
But
that is interesting.
Yeah, I have so many of those stories. The most recent situation and encounter I've had is I was not in my small town. I was, 30 minutes away to another small town. And we were in a antique store. And I had just gotten done speaking at a college for to the physical therapy class, because I was also getting some exams done, tests done from the person in charge, who was my childhood therapist. She works there now. And so I was speaking to the students and them, and we was like, let's go to the antique store while we're out and about. And we get in there, and I guess it is, some students saw me on campus, ended up being at the antique store at the same time. They're part of a religious group on campus. They didn't really specify that I know of, but they didn't just talk to me or ask me. They lured me in, which is what got me. We're going down the aisle, and you're like, hey, do you want to see you on campus? I'm like, yeah. And you're like, nice to meet you. And a handshake. And how are you? And do the talking is like, awesome. Can we pray for you? Can we? I'm like, we're stuck in the antique store. I'm kind of like, it's a military college. They were in military uniform. And it was just like, felt like I was like, sure.
Yeah.
And we sat there, me and my friend sat there, and like, they were super nice about it, of course. It was just such a unique way of going about it, I'll say.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't begrudge people their faith. You know, whatever it takes to be able to live through life.
This world.
Yeah, at this time, this world, whatever. But at the same time, I have family members that are like that, where, you know, you just pray harder. If you just pray harder, you can do it. And it's just like, no, it doesn't quite work that way.
Yeah, it's how most of my family and town and area is.
Yes.
But yeah, but those are some unique, just a few situations I've had. But yeah, school is again, college is completely different than K through 12.
Let's talk about that. In the intro, you had mentioned that in college you had to fight a lot for yourself and advocate for your accessibility. Do you want to kind of talk a little more about what was going on and kind of what that looked like?
Yeah, so when I came in to college, I went to Piedmont University and small liberal arts college in a small town. And so they were super open. They wanted, like, as soon as I visited, they were all for it, of course. And it helped that my previous teacher had went there. And I knew I needed to go to college because I'm already limited what I can do. I need a degree to back up my experience and interests. And so my teacher helped me fill out the application. Luckily got accepted. I only applied to one other college I did not want to go to. And so this one was it. And so I went, and during an orientation or a tour event, they actually rented a wheelchair accessible van from Atlanta and drove it about an hour and a half up. Drove down there and got it and drove an hour and a half up, just so they could take me around, because it was like midsummer, super hot, And that was even before I committed to going there. I just applied and was looking. So they were already, super open to that. And then as soon as I committed to going there, and there was one of the kids at the time that was in a wheelchair, he ended up transferring. They bought a shuttle bus that was wheelchair accessible. They had some vans for everybody, but they bought a full NETA bus license, CDL license to drive this type thing.
Wow.
And had it wrapped in the logo, and they did the full thing. And it was super cool. And so that was great, but the campus itself, was very much inaccessible. Sidewalks, doors, everything like that, because they hadn't had anybody in a wheelchair. They, since it is a small college and now university, they've had to be careful with their money, of course. And not that that's an excuse, but I could understand it from their point of view type situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I was told very quickly I went through 3 or 4 disability coordinators during my 4.5 years there. They were in and out for different reasons. But the first one, she wanted to retire. And she told me, Caden, she was like, no bullshit. She's like, Caden, you have got to advocate for yourself, or no, shit's not going to get done here. She's like, I will help any way I can. I would if I was staying, and the new person better. But you got to do it yourself as well. And I didn't have that in high school and all that. They did it all.
Mm-hmm.
And so she left. The new one came in, super sweet. We worked together. I pushed the president and the administration a lot, and very publicly about it on the the university's social media app, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
On social media, I was part of the newspaper team, open hall, town halls, like everything. And I'm not that kind of person. Believe it or not, I did not advocate like that until college. And they were willing, but you still have to get stuff done. You got to push them a little bit, And we did, and then the new disability director came in, and she was not afraid to make a point as well. The one previous, she was more timid, and it was more me doing it, and she'd be like, yeah. We'd have meetings, but she'd be like, yeah, let's do it. The new one, she was like, no, this is bull. We're doing it right, And then as I was leaving, the new one came in, so I haven't met her, but she's a civil rights lawyer and disability coordinator. So I was like, I feel better now. Yeah, because they, for some reason, for budget cuts and drama that went on, they combined the Title IX coordinator and disability coordinator. Doesn't make sense to me, especially for this big campus and then a remote campus down in Athens, Georgia, for education and nursing. They have to have somebody for both, and this one person's doing Title IX and disability and a little bit of DEI on 2 campuses by herself is wild to me.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, I think that's why the other one left, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot to deal with.
And it is, and I couldn't, and I get why you gotta advocate for yourself, especially once they start piling on the job descriptions and titles and tasks. And I did make a big deal out of some things and made the previous president of the university before the current one unhappy. But I'm not gonna go into that one. But I did make people unhappy. The maintenance guy in charge, I'm sure he was tired of seeing my number email pop up, I'm sure, or the disability coordinator. But it ranged from door opening buttons to concrete ramps to crosswalks to sidewalks eventually, which was I actually dealt with the city for that because it's a city road. Elevators stay working and not run down. Fire plan, emergency exit plans, tornado plan type situation. I was on the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Council, mostly for disability, but in general for, a lot more than that. But then what else? There was a few other things, just overall participation, excuse me. And, adjustable height desks were game changer. That was their idea. One in every classroom. So I'm not the only one that can use it. So if I'm not there, they can lower it to a normal height and any able-bodied person can use it, other wheelchair users. So one in every classroom I was in, they'd move it. They'd get my schedule and move it. If a room wasn't super accessible on the third floor, they would move it to the basement of the library. Like they would move things around. So, they were super willing. You just had to push them and say, hey, it's worth the money and here's why.
Right. It's always worth the money because you get more people that are disabled that are able to then go to that college and then they can spend that money at your school because you're more equipped for them.
And I'm really curious how many people they turned away, but that was deterred from going to, Piedmont because of that. And it was really cool to see them work with us. And, we did part of every year they do a safety walk through the campus, and they have, the local fire department, local police, the campus police, the administration, whoever saying, hey, this sidewalk needs replaced, or hey, this fence is looking bad, or hey, this pothole is sketchy, whatever it may be, make it safer. This building is, needs replaced, this mold, whatever it is. So one day I had a friend who was the editor-in-chief of the newspaper that I was on, and she said, I want to go on this walk, and she made them let her go. And she took notes beforehand and took notes of just the accessible ways to get around campus for her everyday schedule. So the footbridge wasn't accessible, this and that. She said, I think, if I can remember correctly, it was like an additional 8,000 steps, I think, just to take the accessible route instead of the easy way.
Wow. And that's what also is annoying and angering, that a lot of times I've seen a student, going through their campus and showing that the easy way is like, 2 minutes at most, or the quick way is 2 minutes at most. And then in order to actually get in the place with a wheelchair or, some sort of tool, you have to go like around the entire building and come in through the basement and then go up 8 floors and of ramps. And it's ridiculous and it's annoying and it's maddening. Because
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. You can just put a ramp right there, or sometimes it is that simple, and I don't get why they can't do that.
The building my degree was housed in, pretty much the Performing Arts building. It was a little detached from campus because it was newer, and it is a bigger parking lot. Like I said, the amphitheater and the theater and the Black Box Theater and then our part, the whole thing. And so there's a footbridge. It goes over, it used to be a lake. Now it's just a swamplands. They do sciencey stuff in there, whatever. They have a footbridge going over it. And I begged and pleaded and everything I could to get just a ramp put in. Because it does go up a hill, but it's still fairly simple. And, I fought for it all 4.5 years, never got it. Still is not there. And that route to go from the Commons or the library to there, 3 minutes. I kid you not, to go from the Commons all the way around on the road with no sidewalk for many years till the city finally put one in for me. On a curve, very sketchy. All the way around 10 minutes every day. Wow. One way in my chair, going full speed.
And that's...
So I assume you were living on campus, correct?
I didn't.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
No, but I couldn't get a caregiver situation. They didn't have a room that was accessible for them. They had ADA rooms, not to what it should be.
Right.
They were older buildings. My senior year, I was supposed to move in. Last minute, a caregiver backed out as a whole insurance government ordeal. But they had already started, and the campus wasn't happy about this. But not towards me, but towards other people. they completely tore a room out, like to the foundation, and completely redid it. Buttons, roll-in shower, a whole room to myself type situation, brand new appliances, new lights, new everything. And then it didn't work out. And I was screwed over from the government. Shocker, I know. And so I couldn't move in. But we did sneak in that room, even allegedly. We'd sneak into that room because nobody uses it. It's just there. Mm-hmm. And I was like, it's there for future disabled people that may stay here. But they, at the time, didn't have a lock on the door. So we go look at the progress. And the people in charge at the time was like, as long as we don't know about it. And I was like, okay. And we'll just go, check in on it. But I really wish I could have been in it. But I was glad they put that effort in. I'm very thankful for that.
And I'm glad that they did that, because even though you didn't get a chance to use it, somebody coming along will be able to use it, hopefully. Mm-hmm. And, be able to get that degree that they've always wanted to, but didn't think that they could because logistics kept them from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for not only me, but the Res Life director at the time and a few other people, my department that I was in, the marketing department I worked for as an intern, the DEI council. Like, I had enough people supporting me where I could push this, and they did do it. And I was very thankful that I had those people.
Yeah, that's great.
And that's what we all need, that. And to be able to access that, and so that we can, they always talk about it, how we have to be productive, and because capitalism. And, if you're not productive, you're nothing, and all that stuff. But yet they keep putting up barriers or doing the very, very bare minimum so that we can even be productive.
Yep.
And it's frustrating because it's like, you can't have it both ways. You either want us to be productive, then you got to make it so that we can access what we need. Or you don't, and then just shut up and don't bother with complaining that we, quote unquote, aren't doing what we're supposed to do. It's one or the other.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, no, they don't make it easy, for sure. Even now, like, I can think of so many things. When you said that, I was just in my mind going through like the Rolodex of like, well, this would be easier if this, and it's like an endless loop of, if this, then this, but they won't do this, so I can't do this.
Right.
Especially right now in 2026.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's really amazing because it is 2026. It's a whole new millennium, and yet it feels like we're even further back than we were in the 90s.
We're regressing. We truly are regressing.
Oh, yeah.
And in all the ways, unfortunately. And that's why, like, I posted social media because I had the support from people in person. I would like to be able to give my experience and do that in return via social media that could turn into in-person or whatever it may be. Because I wish if I would have had the people I follow now and the conversations I hear and that I have now in middle school and elementary school, who knows? Like, I wouldn't have been shy and cried when somebody looked at me wrong, or whatever it may be. And I could have advocated for myself, and I maybe could have gotten so much more done in my high school and public school. And I'm actually it's been quite a few months, worked with my school system in my town to work on some things. Hopefully they're transitioning people right now, and I haven't heard from them in a while, so I got to reach back out. But I'm hoping I can take what I learned from Piedmont and online and give it back to the, public school system, or try to at least.
Yeah, that's great.
That's awesome, because we do need that. Mm-hmm. So many things are, being taken away from us, and you want to do that, fine, but we'll put it right back and more, because you understand better than anybody who is able-bodied what is necessary. And yeah, there are certain things that aren't going to be universal, because you use a wheelchair, somebody else may use a white cane, and all of those things. It's not going to always be 100% for everybody. But the fact that we try to make it as universal as possible, and that we try to give back in some way, so that there are other young children who don't feel alone, who don't feel like they're worthless or whatever, just because they may be different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. If there can be a baseline, which there should be, and there was, I think, at one point for a little bit, if there's a baseline, I assure everyone that disabled people know how to adapt enough to make it fit for them, as long as there's some kind of baseline.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, like do that universal bare minimum, or well, more than bare minimum. Let me clarify. Raise the bar, but keep it a universal amount, and then we will adapt. We will figure it out, like we always have and always will. You know, but they don't want to give that.
No.
So
sorry.
Go ahead.
Before you go on, there was a study that was recently done where they were talking about how people with disabilities are extremely adaptable, and at how companies that have disabled employees end up doing much better because their employees that are disabled are able to say, well, we need to pivot right here, and they can do it easily, and they can guide everybody along because we have to adapt in order to survive in this world. And that's what makes it also even more maddening that they keep trying to keep us out of it.
Exactly.
So outside of school, what's your current most or biggest complaint about accessibility?
Ooh. That one's a hard one. I think I can give the perspective of, I know I keep saying it, small town, is a lot of the buildings, especially because one of the towns, like one of the cities within, where I live, is a tourist town. Like that's what it's known for, it's our claim to fame. And a lot of the buildings are not accessible. And some of them were grandfathered in, some of them weren't, but because they're such a small mom and pop business, they don't have to, abide by the laws of specific laws, as far as I know, because they have so many, like they have under a certain amount of employees and different things. And so a lot of them I haven't experienced in my own town because I can't get in and can't do things. And that has always been an issue and something I've always hated. But now that I advocate more, it's something I wanted to go up against and figure out. A few months ago, I went to the Chamber of Commerce, who, yes, is a private entity, not a government entity, but they spend lots of money and raise a lot of money to, get members to be a part of Chamber of Commerce, and to do this and hold events and blah, blah, blah. I went for a meeting. I scheduled with them. I work at another small business part-time here. And I went to them. They knew who I was. And I said, hey, I know you know what this meeting's about, but I just wanted to talk about the opportunity for this. I said, is there a way we can do some kind of incentive or program to get businesses to be accessible within reasonable means of costs and labor? And she looked at me, I said, and it can be as simple as have a sign or a sticker that says, if you need assistance or a ramp or something along those lines, call this number and we'll bring a portable ramp out, which my own job did. And they're about $40 or $50 on Amazon. If you're running a business, usually can get that. And there could be something the Chamber of Commerce does, or they promote, hey, if you're visiting, here's some portable ramps you can rent out or loan out from us for free and go around town in case you need them. Whatever it may be. I had all these ideas and issues and solutions, which is what you're supposed to go with. And within 10 minutes, my mom was about to pull out of the parking lot and I texted her and said, don't leave, I'm about to be done. And the lady looked at me and said, we've already made our budget for the 3-year plan or whatever it was, and this isn't in it, we can't afford it. No, talk to the businesses themselves. And I was like, your whole thing is you've done incentives and programs a lot, both cheaper and more expensive and easy and harder than this. So this feels fairly easy. And then they turn around and are doing a more campaign, which is join us for, put your business in our thing and you could win money. And the people who got the most businesses sign up are now currently, as I speak, on a cruise for getting the most businesses to sign up in our small town.
Wow.
But with a guest, it's them and a partner just go on a cruise, and there's like 8 of them. I was like, but you couldn't buy 3 sets of motor ramps.
Right.
Wow. They could have bought hundreds of ramps for the cost that some of those cruises are. I mean, I've looked at cruise costs. Usually it's about $1,400 for one person.
Yeah. And they pay for 2 per.
Yeah.
Like,
that's 16
so like say I
people.
won I get a guest, and then they all went. Their own people went. Don't know, I guess. And then they had like 3 other people, so it's like 6 to 8 people plus their guest.
Wow.
I mean, that's at least 16 people that they paid for.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but it was already in their budget.
So what? Sometimes you got to pivot.
Priorities here.
Yeah. That's just
what,
one example. That's what's pissing me off right now.
Yes, it is maddening. I mean, what the
Especially
fuck?
small town stuff, but yeah, that's just something in the last 2 months. I'm like, oh, what am I gonna do now? They told me to go to a public meeting and talk to the development of, I can't think of what the title is, but development people. I'm like, he's not gonna do anything if y'all are.
Yeah,
Right.
if he don't have the
But
money,
we'll
he's not
see.
going to do anything either.
Yeah, they're trying to fix buildings that are falling in. They're not gonna be able to do anything else.
Right.
And I get that,
Wow.
but y'all are a private business that y'all's whole point is supposed to be welcoming tourists, and what y'all are a welcome center. Yeah, let's make it welcome.
Right. If you want people to feel welcome, you actually have to do the job of making them welcome.
Exactly.
And, because of the time that we live in, there's more people that are going to be disabled that are going to want those luxuries, so to speak, of being able to go out in their own town where they've lived possibly their whole lives and see history.
Yep.
And it's maddening that they can't see how beneficial that is. And they keep just, throwing away trillions of dollars because they don't want to put a ramp.
Yep. And a lot of these buildings, they're smaller, but it's like a 2-step up, like 1 or 2 steps of center blocks.
Yeah.
That can easily be fixed. But I think, and now more than ever, disabled people are, not only are they getting out more, because it's becoming, easier for vehicle-wise and transportation-wise, but also people are realizing, disabled people are here and they're going to be out and about, and they should realize that they're losing business. Because I've been told, your friend can come in and look around for you. I'm like, no, I'm not going to sit out here by myself, out in either the hot or the cold where my friend goes in, find something I may like, take a picture, text to me, or bring it out, or bring the picture to me. So they can't show me the product itself because I can't bring it outside.
Right.
And me wait, because then we're not spending time together, or we're waiting for nothing. You're just not going to get my business if you don't care enough.
Right.
Makes sense.
So,
But it just, we're a capitalistic society. They want us to spend the money. They need us to spend the money. Why in the hell are you purposely making it so that minorities don't spend their money? That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Do you want to make hundreds of thousands because you're only catering to certain people? Or do you want to make trillions because you're actually opening the door for everyone else?
Yeah. I want to do research. I want to look into how much money is lost for an average business for not being accessible. I don't know if that study's out there or not, but I want to.
There are some,
It would be
but I
interesting
think
to
it
know.
would be good to kind of focus on the smaller towns because there have been studies where, big cities like London or New York City, things like that, where they discuss at how much they lose by not being accessible. But usually London and New York City has the means to actually, fix that. And they usually do pretty quickly, most of them.
Yeah.
But small towns, that would be nice to know. How much are you losing?
Where we live, we're in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, which is a very historic town. And a lot of the places are the same as what you explained, 2 or 3 steps to get up because they're so old. I've never looked into getting it fixed, but it's the same idea. It's just so old, they just don't want to change it at this point because that's the way it's always been.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, in our town, the square is a historic, it's a roundabout. The center is literally the historic courthouse from 1800s, and now it's a museum with local history, and it's really cool. That's accessible, first off. What? Like, if that's accessible, come on now. Like, they put a stair lift to go to the courtroom upstairs, like the little, goes up the handrail for somebody to sit in it, so you got to transfer. They have ramps getting the first floor. If they can make that building, the main building of our town,
And the oldest.
and then the rest of them should be able to do it. But also, and then the touristy town, like same county, different city, technically, they're older, yes, and they're so touristy. Like millions of people. Like, I mean, I'll just say, I mean, not that, it's Helen, Georgia. I don't know if you know where that is or heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
Cabbage Patch Babies. I'm distantly related to the guy that created those type situations.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very random, like distantly related. My grandma was one of the original makers of them. Like, worked with him and in his house, and really cool stuff. And so Helen is not that accessible, but there's so many people that come here every day. And I don't go up there unless I'm going to get sushi. And I go like once a year to be a tourist, and I can't get into most of the places.
Yeah, and that's a disservice.
Yeah. And like, there's so many people, like, especially rural Georgia and rural America, and the South is higher numbers of disabled individuals in America than anywhere else. You would think that they would look at that statistic that's proven and be like, oh, hey, let's look at this.
Yeah, you would think that would make sense, to how can we improve business? How can we keep it sustainable? How can we keep growing? Exactly. Maybe if you look to including more people instead of being this moronic, stupid place, and just saying, you know what, nah, we don't need their money. But you kind of do.
Kind of do, because you're only, I mean, I know winter's slow season. That's when all the locals go up there. But, like, again, there's locals that are disabled that aren't going to be able to go up there. So, like, it's a year-round issue for them.
Right.
I feel like, personally.
So we need to start wrapping it up.
Real quick, I feel like...
Oh, sorry.
If there's... No, not you. I feel like if London, who is considerably older than America, can find a way to make some of their buildings accessible by, changing the steps around into elevators type of things. We, as a younger country, should be able to do that.
Exactly.
So,
and I've seen some really cool ones, local ones, like in Athens at a concert. I saw some really cool lifts. I'm like, oh, like, if this small business can have it, then
yeah,
they put the effort in.
Before we go, I have one more question. Before we started, you said there's a lot of snow there. We have a lot of snow here. And for the listener, yes, we record months in advance. Is snow a big problem for you as far as accessibility and trying to get places with sidewalks not being cleared well enough and stuff like that? I would imagine that's the worst time of year for you.
Yeah, for many reasons I don't like winter. But in terms of snow specifically, I mean, again, since I do live in such a rural area where I live, I don't live within city limits or anywhere near technically city. There's no sidewalks anyway. So it really is just back dirt roads type situation. Okay. But yeah, I stay indoors because it's cold. My body hurts. But depending on the kind of snow and how much, I do get my chair out there in it and go slipping and sliding around, go on the road, and still do all the snowball fights and everything I can. It is a little different, and the ice didn't go anywhere. That was bad, especially with power outages. I mean, I can't move my bed, my chair, whatever.
Right.
Which is a whole nother issue. But snow, yeah, definitely slows things down. But luckily, this whole area shuts down with a flake anyways, so I'm not missing too much.
That's good.
But yeah, I'll just lay back and read a book, drink hot chocolate, and look at the snow. Like, it's my perfect time to get all cozy.
Yeah, that is
nothing better than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad it's not all the time though.
Yeah.
Once a year maybe.
All right, so before we go, I want to give you a chance to let people know where to find you and your advocacy online and anything else that you want to put out there.
Yeah, so my Instagram is where I post most of my stuff, and that is at obviously_it's_Caden, Caden. My TikTok, I finally got it back. It was hacked over the summer. I got it back. It's wheelchair_king, King. And I do have a podcast. It has in the past been called Digital Activism. I'm rebranding again. I pray it's the final time. Me and my friend are revamping it, and I have a friend that's acting as a producer. We have a film studio type area we're going to.
Wow.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's like I'm renting it out from a boss for my other job. He's letting me rent it. So we're doing that as soon as we're cleared to go in there. And so you can look up digital activism, but if you look on my Instagram and TikTok, you'll see podcast, whatever it may or may not be called. We haven't finalized everything.
Sounds
but
really
yeah,
cool.
so all of those, and that's also on YouTube, the video form, and everything like that. So yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you all so much. It's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go get some hot chocolate and read a book.
Have
All
fun.
right. Have a great day.
Yeah, thank you. Y'all have a good one.
You too.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Othering Podcast by Mike and Dory. Please like and follow us on all of your favorite social media.
The Othering Podcast is produced by LoudCore Productions, graphics by Josh, and music by Jordy James.